We've just pre-played the 2025 Super Bowl using Breakaway Football, and we thought we'd share our thoughts after our first game here on Legendary Tactics. We've just finished our first game of Breakaway Football, and this was a game I hadn't even realized existed until we knew we needed a football game for the upcoming Super Bowl. And so what were your guys' thoughts? What did you like best about this game?
Well, I really enjoyed the how the timer system works, actually, to be honest. I really like the card idea of as you drop a card, that actually draws the time down.
Yes,
Mhm.
So it keeps track of the timer.
it's
Yeah, very
logical.
unique. Yeah. I
It's
found in
logical.
some of the
As
other,
you're making plays, you're burning through the time, you know?
That's
yeah,
right.
that's right. I did find like in some of the other games we had played, it was difficult sometimes to figure out how much of the clock was left or how to manage the clock. And this one was pretty obvious. There's three cards left. That's three plays.
Yeah.
And I can call a timeout, get another card. So it was. I feel like this game, I could manage the clock better, or it was easier to figure out how to do that.
Yes,
I really
absolutely.
like that. That's a big
Yeah.
plus for me.
What else did you like, James?
Um, I like the different flavor of the teams. I know we played two drastic, well, maybe not drastically different teams, but they had that flavor. And then looking
Yes.
ahead at that strategy guide on the Geek there on Board Game Geek, to see all the teams and all the different kind of plays, there's lots of variety in this game that I
Yeah.
like. It'd be cool to play other teams and match them up, and I'm guessing the replayability would be high because of that.
I totally agree. I totally believe it. Even though this is our first full game, and so this is kind of a review after, one game, which is, I mean, you guys can take it for what it's worth, but yeah, like for me, just I thought it's the simplicity of the play, but
Mhm.
I thought the audible, the bit of sort of bluffing
Yep,
really came
Yeah,
through.
that is
that's
cool.
great.
Right? Because,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cax would put down shotgun and he'd be like, you'd respond with a dime. And then he's like, oh, so I picked a passing play. He's probably gonna pass prevent. So I'd better call an audible. Well, then what does that convey to you?
Yes.
You then flip your card, or were they bluffing, were you double
Yeah.
bluffing? And that was really a neat mechanic. That was really smart.
Yeah, you're right.
Another thing I
I
do really appreciate about this game is that it really incorporates all the facets of football. You could do your onside kick, your 2-point conversion. So the Hail Mary option was there. So there's a lot of different, because sometimes games, even different football games will lose parts of that. So this really had all those parts included, which was neat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those cards. What do they call those
Game day
cards? The event
cards.
cards, game day
Yeah.
cards.
Yeah.
That's cool. Because
Yes.
that stuff happens in football, the weird plays or
Yeah.
penalties or something, and that brings it in. And then they offset that with those challenge flags, which is also really cool.
Yeah.
When something really comes against you, do I play the challenge flag now or do I hold off? I like it. We haven't played a game with the challenge flags before, or with this idea of these not random. Well, they are random events that can happen. I love that.
So
That
one
makes it
thing
feel
about the
football.
challenge flags though, it's that it's an automatic success. I think it would be neat that you'd have to flip another card to see if your challenge is successful.
Oh, I see you're saying. Yeah, that would
Yeah.
be kind
So
of
I
interesting.
and I think the odds should be maybe stacked a little, like maybe, I don't know, 60-40 or 75-25 in your favor, but I still
Yeah,
think
sure.
there's a chance your challenge fails.
Well, just remember though, in the rules, it actually says the challenge flag mechanic is to offset the luck aspect,
Right.
right? To
Okay.
cancel. So if there's like that run to daylight card and you're on your own 20 and you call a running play and then you flip that card event and it's like, oh, like
Mm.
that was just
So
pure luck. Like
NATO,
in the same way you felt that punt return was kind of just pure luck, right?
thinking back
Yeah,
to that punt return, NATO, could I, if I didn't think of it at the time, but
that's
could I
right.
throw my challenge flag on it?
No, it's only for the events.
Okay,
It's
not for
it's yeah, it's
kickoffs.
for the
Okay.
events. It's not for
Okay.
that. But yeah. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, but it is purely there. So to add another like a luck element to the challenge flags, you could, but just understand the whole purpose of that is so that people feel they've got a way to mitigate some of the bad
Yeah.
luck that might come their way via game day events.
I thought that the first down when you were teaching the game the first time and you were teaching us about the first downs and how they work and it doesn't look like football.
Yeah.
I thought, oh, that's gonna be off-putting, but it really wasn't. It actually
No.
still felt like I was going for those first downs, with those plays. It really worked out. So
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's
No, it's
that's
because it's very unconventional. It's like, what do you mean I got to get to the 50 to get my first down? And then another 30 yards after that.
yeah, yeah,
But
yeah. But it
it
still
totally
works, which
works.
is which
Yeah.
totally surprises me.
Yeah.
Um,
So the one area that I mean, maybe I'm still trying to decide if I like it or not. But it was those, you play those bullseye. I think there's special event cards, special
Well, they're
play
low
cards.
odd, they're low odds pass attempts. Like that's so
They would
they're
have
they're
they'd have the little bullseye on them.
yes, yes.
Okay. So you'd have to like first off you'd have to play up a game day card to see if you even get that card in play.
So yeah, so if you get an offensive breakaway, so if you play long pass and the other guy plays a card that loses to long pass,
Yes.
then you get it automatically.
Okay.
But otherwise, yes, you have to flip a game day card and check the modifier text. If it's red, it's an incomplete. If
Yeah.
it's green, you successfully got it. And then there's the normal game day event draw after
Right,
that.
right. So I guess what I was at the end of our game, towards the end anyway, where I passed that first test, and then the second test actually was a penalty against me. So after
Yeah.
like clearing the test, then I get burned by it. It was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
yeah,
that felt a little too punishing to
yeah.
me.
I
Yes,
did
yes.
feel a little bit bad about that.
I
You
know
know,
you did,
But
James.
yeah,
You were
well,
gloating in it.
I do like winning, but still. The one thing another thing I like about those game day cards is and maybe this is just a nerdy thing, is they're multi-use.
Yes.
You don't need five different decks, one for the kickoff and one for
Yes,
the
that is good.
Yeah.
run play. One card has five different pieces of information on it. So I like that. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
And there's like
You know,
50 cards or whatever, and it feels like you
yeah.
burn through them like super fast.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
I'm not used to them yet. I mean, I guess eventually, you would probably, oh yeah, here's that card coming up again, and you probably have a sense of what's in the deck
Yeah.
and what isn't. But it did felt great, felt like football.
Yeah.
So is
Yeah,
there any drawbacks for either of you guys?
well, for me, the rule book was a bit of a drawback. It was okay, but there was definitely a few things that were clarified by additional research on the geek.
Okay.
It's just,
So
yeah,
it
and
could use an
maybe minor
errata.
things, but well, like as an example, it says for the Hail Mary pass, because I was terrified you were actually going to call it because I had to try and figure it out. So it says, and this is just right from the rule book, the Hail Mary is a desperation pass. Success is rare, 5%. So here's what you do. Announce a Hail Mary and
Yep.
discard one of your offense play cards. Okay.
Okay.
Then draw game day cards one at a time and consult the field goal value.
Okay.
And then it says field position determines how many cards to pull. But I don't know what
Wow.
I'm looking for with that field goal value.
The field goal value. What's the number for that's the 7, right?
So
At the
that'd be the
bottom.
7. So what does that mean?
Uh,
Like, and then it says Hail Mary completions are in 10-yard lines and an offense breakaway. But
So you draw
what's a
3.
Hail Mary completion then? Or how does that all like
Oh,
it's okay. I could probably I have a feeling I know how it works, but at the same time it's sometimes just a little bit vague
and
as
it's
far as like
yeah.
what's it trying to say? Okay, check field goal value, but for what? Like what am I doing with
mm,
that?
Right.
And then so there's a few things in the rules I found a little bit vague like that. The other thing is just obviously you would never want to learn the game of football playing this game. Like you need to know
right.
football before reading the rules because they don't. It's funny that they even bother explaining the Hail Mary as a desperation pass because there's all these other references. They just assume you know
Okay.
what it's about. So the rule book was okay, but there were some challenges I had with it ultimately that were a lot of it clarified by stuff materials I found on Board Game Geek.
James, any drawbacks for you?
Um, If I thought about it a little bit more, I could probably think of some, maybe the swinginess of it a little bit. But again, a lot of that's mitigated by those challenge flags. Um, Apart from the game itself, while we were playing it, I actually Googled it to try to see where they sold this thing. 'Cause I'm like, this is amazing. I
Nice.
would like to have a good football game, and it's not available to purchase in Canada. It is in the States, but it seems pricey to me. If that's a legitimate complaint, I
Yeah.
think it was like 75 American. So I'm like,
Yeah.
oh
Okay.
man.
Well, you know what? If you got all the teams in there,
Oh, and the teams are
like
extra
if you had all like the
pricey.
expansion teams and everything, like we just had four teams to choose
Yeah,
from here. And
if it was a big package, it'd be nice to see. And I'm guessing off the top of my head that it's because it's independently published or something.
yes, probably
Be
that's
great
a
to
big
see a
part of it. Yeah.
publisher take that on. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, what did you guys think of the fact that as the clock ran out, you were more limited on your available plays? Did that feel
No, I mean, for me, at the
artificial?
very last drive, I had to basically ball it out, air it out. But I never felt that, James. Did you?
No, I like the angst of that, where
Okay.
Yeah.
I was able to look at my cards and dump five of them, and I had to think, okay, I've got five plays to make here. Which cards do I want? And I just don't
Yeah.
want to take I formation all the way across and tell it do. I want to come some other ones there. So it felt good to me. It felt like the end of a football game when you're like, oh my gosh, these guys got to do something here. The one thing I would say I would if I was a fan of a team who finished the game like I did, I would lose my mind. Taking the knee three times and punting the ball back team.
Yeah.
And
Well,
not
that's
even
exactly
trying
what
to
you should have
right.
done. That's
What's
exactly what you should have done. Yeah.
Yeah.
like take yeah like a team if a team did that, the fan base would kill them. But it was to me it was the right thing to do. Get the ball back in his hands with the four cards and just try to defend it. And thinking ahead, okay, he's going to be set back. He'll be in his own zone.
Right.
There's going to be some pass
Deep in his own
plays.
end, right? Yeah, you
That's
pinned me.
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm going
yeah.
to defend. I know he's going to be trying longer plays and try to
Yeah.
offset it that way.
Well,
When
because
you
the other
So
option was that you would have run three short run plays, everyone risking something happening.
that's exactly right. And I thought you might actually do a couple, maybe a longer run plays or something, and I would be, you'd catch me off guard. But
Yeah.
I like that. I like that feeling of trying to predict what they're doing. I can't state enough how much I like the clock idea.
yes.
No,
I
the clock was
really
great.
knew how
Yeah,
much time was there,
Yeah.
absolutely
and you had
great.
that sense of clock management. I like that. That's great.
So I've been thinking on this for a bit. I want to ask you guys, who do you think this game is for?
Oh,
I think it's for people who enjoy football, who enjoy
Like, do you
um
have to be a football enthusiast?
yeah, I think so. I
I think
mean,
you'd
there's just
have
enough to this game where you need to.
you know you'd have to know a little bit about what those offensive and defensive plays are called. However, getting into the game and thinking, wait a minute, what stops a run? You kind of get a sense of it because, like, oh, the I formation, that's the running. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, I did have to know what an I formation was, but even if you didn't, and you saw that all your I formations were a lot of run plays, you would start to get a sense of, oh, okay, I formation is probably going to be a run play. I'm going to play this kind of defense. So in a sense, you might learn a little bit about the game if you didn't know some of the terminology.
yeah,
Could
yeah,
be a teaching game too. Yeah.
It
yeah,
could be a little bit.
yeah. I think you have to like a lot of football games, sports games in general. I think you need to enjoy the game, and you need to know and enjoy the game in order to really get the most mileage out
Yeah,
of a game like this. But could someone who's just a casual player play it and enjoy it? Sure. I mean, you could pick your plays. You look at the strength of this is
numbers.
an orange
That's
play and
right.
it gives me like a strength of 4. You could probably still get by and still have fun with it. I mean, the game itself is simple enough that you could enjoy it. But yeah, I think it's probably for those, football fans that, maybe don't want a super complicated and long game.
Yeah,
Like one of the
yeah,
designers in the designer's notes, they said they wanted a game that played in an hour or thereabouts, right? And I think
yes.
you know,
Yeah.
tabletop simulator always takes longer to do everything,
Yes.
like just to pick up
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
cards or whatever. So if you knew this game well, I think you could
Oh, you could get
probably
it done in an hour. Yeah, I think
oh
so.
yeah, for
I
sure.
think so.
And
Yeah.
then with
One
all the
thing.
variety of the teams, I think that there's a lot.
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
like so overall verdict, I don't know
Oh, I definitely play it again.
yeah.
Two
Yeah.
thumbs up.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think it
Thumbs up.
does really, really surprisingly well for a game that uses a lot of abstractions that kind of
Mhm.
changes the way the game is played, and yet it stays true to the spirit of football in a way that it really impressed me in
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a
it really
great
does.
football, great fit football incarnation for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Agreed.
all
I
right.
could see taking this to a tailgate, setting it up
Oh
on a
yeah.
table under a tent and playing this out with you could even have you could play 4 players.
Yeah.
Have your offensive defensive coordinator. I mean, I think
Oh,
it
that's
would
a really great idea, James.
Yeah.
You could actually
it
incorporate
it
this.
would win.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would
If
be
any
a
of you
total
guys
like
want to buy this for me, please do.
okay. It's still a beer and pretzels type game, right? You can
Yeah,
just
that's right.
yeah,
Yeah, you totally. You don't have
Yeah.
to. Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
It's a great tailgate game. Yeah.
yeah, I
Big time.
agree. So anyway, yeah, so thumbs up for me as well. So anyway, thanks so much for watching this review, and we'll see you here next time on Legendary Tactics.